alive in it, and he brought you out of it. That's why you are here today. So stop trying to hide your past. There's some folk now, you see them and you start talking about the past. They don't want to talk about that. As a matter of fact, they changed their name from what it used to be. It used to be Leroy. Now it's Leroy. Used to be Richard. Now it's Richard. They want to cut her loose from the past. But embrace your past. Those ugly spots in your life. Because that should tell you and remind you how good God is. And how good he has been to you. And what he delivered you out of. And what he delivered you into. So it was foolish of him to try to erase the reminders of a dark period in his past. And if you're trying to do that, God may be evaluating you and saying to it, that's a foolish idea because you cannot outrun your past. That was a person that used to be dear to me, a guy named Patrick Turner. He said, I don't care how long you live, there's going to be somebody still alive who remembers your past. So you're wasting time trying to get rid of it. You're wasting time trying to run from it. So you may as well embrace your past and not be ashamed of it, but thank God that he brought you out of it and he delivered you. So some of us are trying to escape that. Did he ever mention the name of God? Not thanking him for what he brought him out of, or not thanking him for what he's brought him into. He used I and my 12 times in these 3 verses. He took credit and wanted to take credit for what God had done. And God said, if you're going to try to take credit for what I have done, that's a foolish idea. And many times there are so many of us who are trying to act like I got to where I am on my own. I am the one who got the education. I am the one who was able to do the work. I am the one who did this. I am the one who did that. Not realizing that the only reason you were is because God gave you the strength and the wisdom and the knowledge to do it. This man never mentioned God. But what he was doing, trying to claim for himself that which belonged to God. Because you realize that bumper crop was not his. A steward is all that we are, all that we shall ever be, and all that we can be. We can never be more than a steward. We can never be owner, because the Lord has already declared in Psalm 24, the earth belongs to the Lord, and the fullness thereof, the world, and they that dwell therein. If he owns everything, how can you own anything? He called the man a fool for trying to claim for himself that which belonged to God. Don't you realize that even the body that you are dwelling in is not yours? Don't you realize that without God, who owns that body, you would not be able to raise your hand, bat your eye, cross your legs, comb your hair? Without him, you would not be able to do anything. It's all because of God. So when he tried and when he was claiming for himself that which belonged to God and never mentioning God's name, let alone recognizing him, God said, you are a fool. You think you got enough to last you for a lifetime? You are suggesting that you have your life in your own hands. Don't you realize you do not have your life in your own hands? You do not control your life. Your life is in the hands of God. It is in him that we live and move and have our being. It's because of him we're able to do that which we are able to do. It's because of him. So God evaluated this man and gave him a bad evaluation. He called him a fool. Not only was he claiming for himself that which belonged to God, and his attempt to shed himself of all remembrance of his bad past, he was not properly using what God had already provided him. There was nothing wrong with the barns that he had. Tearing them down is not a good use of what God has already given you. If you are not properly using what God has already given you, why do you think God is going to let you enjoy more of his resources? So even though God provided the resources for the man, he did not get a chance to enjoy them because he did not appreciate and make good use of what he already had. Paul gave us some information on that. Did not appreciate and make good use of what he already had. And on that. He said, I've learned, no matter what situation I'm in, whether I'm up or down, in or out, hungry or full, have what I want or wanting what I don't have, I have learned therewith to be thankful for what God has given me. That's what he meant by saying, I have learned to be content. I've learned to be thankful for what God has given me. So many times we're so ungrateful for the things God has already given us. We don't appreciate the little thing God does for us. The breathing, feeling of listening to the birds sing, watching the squirrels scatter across the lawn. Enjoy what God has given you, no matter where you are observing these things, whether you're in a shack or mansion. Enjoy what God has put there for you to enjoy. And the more you enjoy and show appreciation to God for what he's already done and for what he is doing, you're encouraging him to do more for you. You would think the man would be so grateful for the crop that he had, especially in view of the fact that he had years of failed crops. He would be shouting God's